It really is grim right now, looking at Manchester United from every single direction, on the pitch and certainly off the pitch. Manchester United have now announced what they call the transformation plan, which is in reality another set of major cuts for 150 to 200 members of staff. I'm going to run through what the full statement says, give you my opinion on it, and just have a conversation about it. But the one thing to remember at the start here, right, all of this, absolutely all of it, has been caused by the Glazers. Every single part of it. And now, another 150 to 200 members of staff at United are going to be losing their jobs as a consequence. And by the way, the club, when they first announced the redundancies, said that that was the end of it, and now they're announcing more. Probably because, well, we're 15th in the league. Probably because the finances are worse than they expected. Let's run through what this statement is. And they called it a transformation plan, which is a bit strange. Because it's not. It's just redundancies. Manchester United is set to transform its corporate structure as part of a series of additional measures to improve the club's financial sustainability and enhance operational efficiency. All right. As part of these measures, the club anticipates that approximately 150 to 200 jobs may be made redundant, subject to a consultation process. These would be in addition to the 250 roles removed last year. So that in total, if it's 150, I think is going to mean that INEOS have made a third of United's workforce redundant by the end of it. Omar Barada. We have a responsibility to put United in the strongest position to win our men's, women's and academy teams. We are initiating a wide-ranging series of measures which will transform and renew the club. Unfortunately, this means announcing further potential redundancies, and we deeply regret... I don't need to read that bit. It's just spiel. Deeply regret. Well, they probably do, actually. I can't imagine this is something that INEOS want to do. I can't imagine it's something that anybody at Manchester United wants to do, but it is something that has to happen because of this. And I've said this so many times, like how little I want to look at United and talk about the finances, talk about the business, talk about the corporate structure. But you have to, because we've lost money for 5 consecutive years and no business survives in that. Right? At the end of this process, yeah, it's just some spiel, really. And I want to talk about it. The first set of redundancies I saw as an inevitability because Man United had a massive workforce, a bloated workforce, and that was going to be streamlined. And it's kind of pretty standard when it comes to corporate restructuring when you get new owners, part new owners. But all of this, and I can see there's a lot of anger, correctly, by the way, for the fact that we're looking towards, replacing hot lunches, free hot lunches in the canteen with fruit for staff, with reducing our contributions to the Man United Foundation, with job cuts, with everything else that's happening. Whereas in reality, the thing that makes a difference is the debt not being on our football club. But INEOS will not do anything about that until they own our football club. The Glazers, being the greedy fuckers that they are, would not sell United unless somebody came in with an outrageous, overpriced bid, and no one did. And don't talk to me about Jassim. Does it exist? Don't even know. Don't even care. They were never going to sell because they never wanted to sell United at the price that it was worth, despite the fact that we've made losses for 5 years consecutively. So if you can't do anything about that, the biggest change that comes will be from the players. One player's wage will be worth however many actual standard salaries. But nothing can be done about that because of the inflated wages and the inflated contracts that they've given to those players. So if you can't do that, what do you do? These changes here in the beginning. I imagine there's going to be wide... we've talked so often as a fan base about clearing out the deadwood. This summer it's going to happen on a serious scale. I think there could even be conversations where United agree to pay off contracts simply to get players off the books. Rashford's not at the club anymore because he doesn't have the right attitude. Doesn't matter what he does at Villa. That will be removed. The same... Because it's savage. All of this is savage. That same level of savageness has to be applied to the players. Because if the Glazers' debt didn't exist, none of this would be needed. If we didn't sign and waste hundreds of millions on crap players, on inflated wages we can't get rid of, this wouldn't be needed. If we weren't 15th in the league, this wouldn't be needed. All these things have happened, and now normal people are suffering the consequences. And I will refer to this from the 1958. It's why the march is going to be happening, I presume, before the Arsenal game, rather than after. All of this is a consequence of the years and years and years of mismanagement and just pure greed that has run our football club. The ambition of the Glazers has never been to win anything. The ambition of the Glazers is how many zeros are in my bank account. And they don't even care. The Glazers would rather they have an extra 10, 20, 30 million in their bank account than 1, 2, 3, 400 people losing their jobs. They do not care. And Ratcliffe and INEOS are clearly happy to be the bulletproof shield for the Glazers, which is why that protest is important. I don't know where the end game is with the Glazers. The only reason I was happy for INEOS to come in was on the premise that that would be the first part of a full takeover. That the 27% was a prelude to what was coming next and the ultimate removal of the Glazers. I'd love to get some clarity on that. I'd also love to get some clarity on the debt. And all of this is happening and being discussed while we're potentially building a £2 billion stadium. That makes no sense, but that's just a reality. And I really, really, really feel for those who are affected inside that environment of Manchester United. It must not be a nice place to work, and it mustn't have been a nice place to work for the last couple of years. From the Glazers announcing a strategic investment, whatever the alternative opportunities, whatever it was called, and then it took them a year to actually sell 27%. So for that entire year, you don't know what's happening tomorrow about who your boss is, about who owns the club, and then new ownership comes in, and then the same fear exists because now new ownership is coming in, and then they've made the redundancies, and then all of a sudden, a few months later, they're now announcing another 150 to 200 redundancies. It's grim, and it's all because of the Glazers. And right now, when it comes to the cost efficiency of like corporate bullshit, when it comes to saving money, in the immediate term, that's affecting cuts to staff, cuts to food in the canteen. In the summer, that same logic will be applied to the fact that we won't spend probably more than 50 million on a player. The fact that the wages, I think Dorg is on 40 grand a week, the wages are going to go massively down. I'll go back to what I said at the start. Manchester United, when I grew up, how I've always seen Manchester United, what's made Man United different is it's had that family aspect behind the scenes. Kath working behind reception for 60 odd years. It was like you closed the doors to all the noise outside, and once you were inside Manchester United, it was a safe place and a safe space. Because of the Glazers, that's been eroded, and we are a broken club that's lost money for 5 years. And I don't know how long this is going to take. But Ratcliffe and INEOS are being the shield for the Glazers that they are happy to hide behind. And hundreds of people are going to lose their jobs as a consequence.